Hello, farmers. My name is Janine Ryan, and I am the editor of Farmers Weekly. Today, I have Martenique Scott with me, who will be speaking about the demand for livestock in Africa, as well as exactly what it is that she does and what got her into agriculture. Hi, Martenique. How are you?
Hi, Janine, very well, and you?
So, Martinique, I think just for context purposes, just maybe introduce yourself. Who you are, what exactly it is that you do.
Janine, I own a company in Namibia called Real Time Agri, and we specialize in farmer marketing. We do some auctions. We've done some auctions in Africa. At the moment, the latest one that we did was in Tanzania, with Mbogo ranches over there. And I'm also doing the Kenyan Baran Breeders Society in Kenya, obviously, at the end in the beginning of September. So we'll be conducting that auction. So I do their marketing, I do the physical auction and the auctioneering of it. So yeah, that's me trying to make a difference in Africa.
So how did you, I mean, because it's quite a I guess you could say a sort of uncommon career path for a woman. How did you get into auctioneering in particular?
Well, I own another company called Super Games. So what we do is we import and export live game around the world and then into Africa as well. And obviously, when people see our trucks on the roads in Angola or in the Congo or Zambia, wherever, then they started contacting us for livestock. And so I have exported livestock to a number of countries, and then the auctioneering side of it and the farmer marketing actually just came as an extension of what the game industry brought to the table. So we were contacted to supply livestock, and we've done so. And then I saw that there's definitely a need within Africa for, and especially and the rest of the world for African livestock. Well, that has presents its own challenges. So I got into the livestock industry about 2, 3 years ago, and I started doing auctions and supplying an online auctions platform to farmers as an alternative to what was available in Namibia. At the moment, I'm working with Meerkat, and they go with me wherever we go. So we're going to Tanzania, then they go with me there. If we go to Kenya, they go with me there. And then some of the auctions that we conduct in Namibia, we do. I also use Meerkat, and then I do basically the auction administration of it, or I just do the farmers marketing and the
Mm,
auction marketing, start marketing like that. So yeah, that's
mm.
how I got into it. Then I was introduced to the Kenyan Baran Breeders Society by a friend of mine, and they introduced me to the guys in Tanzania, and now we're doing auctions in Africa. So it's actually
Mm.
organic growth that just took place, and connections being built and relationships
Relationships.
being
Yeah, yeah,
forged.
that's amazing. So
Yeah.
you say a couple of years ago. So sort of when did you start with the auction side of your business?
We started I've always conducted auctions through my game company. So I've organized many game auctions.
Hmm.
And then when I got involved with Super Game, obviously we do our own game auction. And then in 2022, I started with Real Time Agri, where we do the auctions and supply the online platform, etc., etc.
Okay. And so do you see, and I mean, so we've done a lot of stories about the sort of increasing demand for, well, particularly in our case, the stories that we've covered have focused on the demand for South African livestock genetics in the rest of Africa. Actually, funnily enough, with relation specifically to the boron. But so have you seen an increase in demand over the past few years for good quality sort of or even top quality livestock in the rest of Africa?
I definitely agree with you. I think South Africa has had a little bit of a monopoly in with the exports to into Africa,
Mm,
since it's easy to to export on planes, to export to, Cameroon, Nigeria, all of those countries. What I'm trying to do is to create new markets for Southern Africa. So I don't know if you're familiar with the Tri Nations sale that we did in Tanzania. So
Mm,
what we were trying to do there is to bring farmers together from different countries who can display their livestock there. I think the demand would be more, or from my experience from that specific sale would be that the demand would be for high quality commercial animals. The stud animals just get too expensive. So there's a
mm,
large portion of the market that you cut out if you go and say buy the best boer goat or the best Baran or the best Bonsmara. The market for that is very small, but the market
mm,
for a good quality commercial animal is way bigger, and there are many more people that can afford it. So what
mm,
we did to Tanzania is we took small stock, but we took high quality commercial animals that are adapted, that are fertile, and that can survive in a very different environment and adapt easily to that new environment. So
mm.
the one rule that I told my guys that took their animals, I mean, it's a massive risk taking animals there, is that I
Yeah.
told them I don't want animals that are overfed. And that is sometimes the challenge we have with these high quality stud animals is they are fed very well. And then on the other side, the farmer isn't skilled enough or educated enough or aware enough that
Mm,
that feeding regimen should be maintained.
mm,
So that we did. We took felt adapted animals that can adapt easily on that side. But
mm.
there's definitely a demand. But for animals that are affordable,
Yeah.
there's no use. If we take expensive stud animals, then you just keep the cream of the crop happy, but the guys that actually need to survive from those animals can't
Mm,
afford them. It's
yeah.
amazing in Tanzania, there was a Maasai. I so wish I took a picture of it. There was a Maasai warrior. They call themselves warriors, and he was wearing his Maasai dress with his smartphone, his cattle cane, and his bid number. He was bid number. So it was just an amazing thing where people have access to animals that they can actually afford.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I think that's a good point because I mean, when you looking at some of these stud animals that cost a million plus, I mean, there's not many people that could actually afford
No.
to to buy that and import those genetics. Yeah.
And
Um.
an interesting thing, sorry, is that the the small stock that we sold at that auction was mainly bought by women.
Oh yeah.
So women, yeah, so women have smaller areas of land, or they live in a semi-developed urban area where they can keep 3 or 4 or 5 goats, but they can't keep 10
Mm,
cows. So
yeah.
that also makes a difference in empowering that side of the economy, because in the end, women constitute 50% of the labor force, but they're also the poorest section of the labor
Mm,
force in Africa.
yeah. Yeah. Oh,
It
that's
was a
very
very interesting.
interesting. Yeah, very interesting. So you started in the sort of game industry, but how did you get into that even? Do you have a background in agriculture? Did you study agriculture at university? What
No, I
inspired you
studied
to get involved?
psychology. I studied psychology, and hopefully that helps me understand a farmer. So, no, so what I got into the game industry in 2015 as a freelancer. So I was just trading, and then I bought shares in Super Game in 2017, and then
Mm,
in 2018 we launched the company, and it just grew from there. It's actually an amazing blessing that we've been involved
mm.
with. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
So,
interesting.
mm.
To especially it's like you have to take quite a big risk because it's not something that you necessarily have experience in. So
No,
it's like
not
it
at
could go
all.
either way.
Yeah. No, the game industry actually happened to me. So it wasn't something that I've always traded. Anything that I can find, I've always traded. I
Mm,
love bartering and selling stuff and buying stuff.
mm,
And then I was running one morning with a friend of mine, and he told me about this guy that was trading game in South Africa. And he
Mm,
says, no, he makes this much money. And I'm like, really? Can you make that much money out of, game trading? And
mm,
then like 2 weeks later, then someone, you know how it is, life just happens to you sometimes.
mm,
And so one guy calls me, he says, no, but I've got rhino to sell. Do you know anyone that'll buy rhino? And I knew a guy that owns rhino.
mm.
And I called him and he said, no, he doesn't want them, but he knows of someone who might be interested. And so my first game transaction was a giraffe deal, and then the next one was a rhino deal. And from there, it just grew. And I mean, it just exploded.
Grief. Sure, that's
Yeah.
hectic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just for
Amazing.
sort of my own knowledge, because I'm not really sure how it works. So if you're trading in game, do you buy, let's say, some giraffe from someone and then sell it on, or you just sort of the middleman that you just sort of overseeing the transaction?
No, no, no. We own, so I have a partner, his name is Jan Blow. So
Mm,
we capture the animals on the farm. We have our own trucks, we have our own helicopter, our own capture equipment.
mm,
And basically buy the animals off the veldt from a farmer or a rancher or a game rancher. And
mm,
then we resell them to either game reserves or other, hunting farms,
mm.
or, put them to Thailand and India and wherever, or into Africa.
Oh, okay. So you actually buy them first and then sell them.
Yes. Yes,
Oh,
and I
okay.
own the equipment, and then we sell them.
Mm, okay. Yeah, that's very interesting. But then I presume you would also, because you need to keep them somewhere, so you need to have like a pretty big piece of land or something where these animals can run until you can sell them again.
Uh, we do own a farm where we run some bulls. We basically farm with bulls.
Mm,
And but when we capture them, I sell them, or Jan and I sell them, and then we capture them, we load them, and we transport them to the next farm. So
oh,
that's so,
okay.
yeah. So if there's something special, then we'll keep it and we'll grow it out and see what it does. If
Mm,
there's young sable bull or whatever that we see, okay, this one may be something, then we
mm.
keep it and we grow it out for 3 or 4 years. Otherwise, we basically capture them on one farm, put them on a truck, drive them to the next farm, and offload them.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like the
So,
animal's already, you've already sold the animal by the time that you
yes.
capture the animal.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, game capture is too expensive. Game capture is way too expensive to do it twice.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
very
can
expensive.
imagine. It's not like, putting a dog in a crate or something. It's a little more
No,
complicated
no, no,
than
no.
that.
Yeah, we do
Yeah.
have bomas. So if we, like, for instance, if we export animals to the Congo, for instance, we train them in the bomas to eat, or the giraffe that we export, we train them to eat in the bomas, and so
Mm.
that when they're on the truck for 5 or 6 days, then we feed them and water them on the trucks. So they know that if the truck stops and the following things happen, then it's feeding time. So we basically
Oh,
to eat, and it's the
yeah.
same with the livestock. The with the consignment that went up to Tanzania, it took 7 days, and
Mm.
we trained or we feed them and we train them. Okay, now this is the water, so they have to eat. And we lost of the 100, we had 150 small stock on and 18 head of cattle on the truck,
Mm.
and we lost 5 dorpers,
Oh,
and that's
shame.
all of the whole, yeah, of the
Mm.
whole consignment. I mean, for the number of
That's,
animals and the time they spent
yes.
on the, it's a really small
Yeah.
number in comparison.
Yeah, because I mean, 7 days is a long, long
It
time.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's a
Yeah.
long
So
time.
that's,
But they did
that's,
very well, I have to say.
mm. Um,
They did
so
very well.
what do you think, uh, perhaps even in terms of both industries, so the sort of game industry as well as the auctioneering side, what are the biggest challenges that are facing you particularly at the moment?
At the moment, the biggest challenge that we face is the difficulty to trade internationally. The amount of red tape and bureaucracy that you have to go through to get an animal from one country through another country into another country, I think that would be our biggest challenge at the moment. The money is definitely there,
Mm,
The buyers are definitely there, but the challenge and the number of um, or the not the number of the amount of schlep that you have to go through to get those animals to those farmers is just mind blowing. I mean, we could have done this Tanzania trip in 5 days or less if we didn't
mm,
have all the orders. And you learn to run with it, and we go through it. I mean, if we go through the border to Angola, it takes 4 hours, but getting just getting past all of that bureaucracy and
mm,
all the technical bribes and all of that stuff, that makes it very challenging.
mm. Um,
But otherwise, the buyers are definitely there, the market is there, everything is there. And then the other thing is we are facing our droughts are becoming more frequent in Namibia specifically. So
mm,
we need to find other markets for our animals, and that is the
mm,
promise that I make to the farmers whose work I do, is that we need to find other markets, and that we found one in Tanzania now. So let's see where we can go elsewhere. Oh, and I exported some cattle to Kenya as well this year.
mm.
Yeah, yeah, that would be the biggest challenge is
Yeah.
integrating the markets and getting
Mm,
them flow more easily.
mm. So in South Africa, I mean, I'm sure you've seen on the news and maybe even have experience with it. You know, we have a big foot and mouth problem at the moment. So which makes sort of even movement of animals within the country somewhat difficult. Do you have a sort of similar issue in Namibia? I can't recall reading anything about
Uh,
FMD in Namibia recently, at the very least.
Uh, Namibia has an excellent system of traceability called NAMLETs,
Mm,
where every animal in this country is on a central system.
mm, mm,
And for instance, we had a lumpy skin outbreak a couple of months ago, and that because of the system and because of the traceability, they were able to isolate the farms where this outbreak took place within days, and they were
mm,
able to contain the outbreak very
yeah.
quickly. There
Mm,
are other farms that did have outbreaks, but the vaccinations were available quickly. The systems that they put in place with lumpy skin disease free or vaccinated certificates they put in place very quickly. So I have to
mm,
say our government is really, when there's an outbreak of any disease, they're on it, and they're very quick. We are at a free zone in Namibia. We're not a free country, FMD.
mm.
We have, I don't know if you're familiar with the red line. We call it the red line.
Yes, yeah.
Above the red line, we're not FMD free without vaccination, but below the red line, we are free without vaccination.
Okay.
The,
That's very
the
cool.
only the only challenge that we have at the moment is we can't, for instance, Australia and the US don't want to import from us because the rest of Africa has FMD.
Mm,
Us and Botswana are free zones, but they don't want to import from us because they don't want to take the risk. So that limits us, and that's why I'm trying to build networks into Africa so that we can have a wider market for our product.
mm. Yeah, it's actually a pity that because yeah, I think the world sort of looks at Africa as one place and doesn't
Thank you.
realize that yeah, we're sort of not one place, you know, different countries with different rules and regulations and things like that. Um, but yeah, but I think it's also great that we're making sort of headway within Africa because um, you know, I don't know, I can't remember the exact figure, but I mean, it's estimated that there's going to be Africa is going to be home to the world's biggest population, you know, within I don't know, like the next 10 years or something. So yeah,
They they reckon that the need for protein in Africa will grow by 200% within the next 25 years.
sure, that's
So
crazy.
that's that they're working on now. And that is again why small stock is such an important part of what we're doing, because
Mm,
from them you can get obviously milk, the same as with cattle, but it's more affordable and more people can keep them. And it's the
mm,
same with chicken. From a chicken, you get the egg and the meat. And another interesting thing is many countries in Africa, and especially in East Africa, the east of Kenya, Somaliland, Ethiopia, those places are moving over to camel farming. It's a
Mm.
very
Oh, that's
interesting thing.
interesting. Yeah, that's
Uh,
interesting.
Camels are obviously more drought resistant, so they're
Mm.
moving to that, and you can produce a larger amount of meat and milk
Mm.
from an animal way more drought resistant than cattle, for instance.
Yeah, yeah. And presumably,
Mhm.
because they are more sort of drought and heat resistant, they require perhaps fewer inputs and sort of maintenance than a cow would.
And they can be used for transport as well.
And they can be used for transport. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
That's something I haven't, um, didn't really think about before, but I think it's something I'm going to investigate a little further because that's very interesting.
Camel farming, I don't think we have enough camels in Africa. We'll probably be importing from the Middle East if we need more camels.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. To start with, we'll definitely have to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, so what are your aspirations for expansion? Are you sort of planning to add or just sort of grow what you have at the moment in the
Well, I
next, let's say,
always
5 to 10 years?
I love to expand, so we shouldn't go there. Well, my idea is especially for the Tri Nations Expos to get more countries involved eventually and
Mm,
grow that to a 5 or a 10 nation um, event. That we obviously we have logistical issues, and we ran it this year for the first time, so we'll probably keep it small for the next year, and then after that, when we've sorted, all the internal things and all the challenges that we faced, I would love to grow that to a bigger event. Then at the end of this year at the Vintage Show, we're launching. I don't know if you're familiar with the Champion of the World cattle competition that takes
mhm,
place every year in yeah, well, obviously in the world. So
mm.
what we're doing this year, we're launching the Champion of Africa competition.
Oh, cool.
Uh, yeah, because my thoughts was around it was that the African cattle and the indigenous breeds. I have a very soft spot for the indigenous cattle of Africa.
Mm,
Is It's not well known, and there are so many wonderful breeds that are so well adapted, and
mm,
no focus on them.
mm.
So we adding a Champion of Africa competition to the Champion of the World, because the African indigenous cattle struggle to compete with those big British and European and breeds, and the big, Nulor and all of those, big breeds of
Yes.
cattle carry a
Yeah.
lot of meat. So we're adding that, and that will then be we're launching it at the Vintage Show this year, and
Mm-hmm.
then the entries will be for next year, and those will be qualifying entries for Champion of the World. So we're just trying to put a little bit of focus on African livestock,
Okay.
and then yeah, I'm doing work for the Kenyan Baran Breeder Society.
Mm.
My big for this is to get farmers to start talking to each other and
Yeah.
societies to start talking to each other. So
Mm.
I also do the work for the Namibian Baran Breeder Society. So
Mm.
I'm trying to just goad them into building relationships with each other. And
Yes.
then this year at the Baran sale in Kenya, they have a Baran show then, so where they'll be exhibiting their animals,
Mm.
and then they also have a farm tour. So Kenya is the not the birthplace of the Quran, but that's where they started doing
Yeah.
stud breeding with it.
Yeah.
Um, they're doing a stud visits and a stud tour of that. So
Oh, that's
hopefully
cool.
next year we can expand that to more African countries, um more farms, and get more farmers involved. So that's my
Yeah.
big dream, people involved with each other. That would
Yes.
be the big thing. But yeah,
Sure.
growing and being more African. I love the chaos in Africa. So it's, and not chaos in the sense of it's chaotic, chaos in the sense of there's nothing there, and building something that is valuable and that can add educational opportunities and empower people to have access to better livestock.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And so when is the Windhoek show?
It's on from the 30th of September till the 4th of October.
Okay, cool. And is the Africa champion competition is it's like it's a competition, right? So do
Yes,
you sort of
so what we do is they enter the animals on photographs, and then there are international judges that judge the photograph, and then they go through a process where quarterfinals, semifinals, and the finals, and then there's a final winner. Um, so then everything goes on photographs, and we have international judges involved that judge the animals, and then they announce their respective winners, and then we announce the winner next year at Vintage Show.
see.
And those will automatically go. The winners of those sections will then automatically go into the Champion of the World competition. So that would be a qualifying round
Yeah.
for champion.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I look forward to seeing how that pans out this year. It's going to be
Yeah,
interesting.
so we're only launching it this year.
Hmm.
And the competition will take place in 2026.
Oh, okay. So this is just the sort of introduction of the competition is this year.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
So we've got, at the moment, I've got 16 African countries involved
Mm.
that will be entering cattle into the competition.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we're
that's
very
exciting.
excited, yeah.
Yeah, wow. And you're very busy, clearly.
I,
So thank you
I
very
try
much
I try to stay busy.
So yeah, so thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us, and good luck with your travels.
Opportunity, I really appreciate it.